A lot of the work last year, to be frank, was around the development of a strategic plan, which was to commence this year and go for the next 5 years. And I'm going to talk. I'm going to kind of go thoroughly through the strategic plan because we're quite proud of it. We worked with Pat Curran and Associates, who helped us devise, our engagement strategy, who we were going to survey and when, who we were going to interview and when, how we'd host workshops with our board, with bigger groups, with the membership at large, and how we were going to ground truth and check in on our progress as time went on. It was a very thorough exercise, and I just want to thank many of you who are participating today, who were a real big part of informing what it is that we're going to present here today. I don't think there's going to be any major surprises in terms of what it is that we're going to focus on as an organization, but I can say that we've become far more refined in terms of what we want to do and far more targeted. There's 4 priority areas that we've decided to focus on. First is governance and operations. Second is activities and network. Third is training and professional development. And fourth is communications and advocacy. And I'll talk a little bit about each of these areas and some of the short-term and longer-term actions that we have in place, or that we will put in place. So in the governance and operations space, we're going to immediately prioritize the development of a sustainable governance and operations model, one that ensures that we're able to meet our mission, our vision, and mandate, and a renewed mission, vision, and mandate. So there's a couple of ways in which we're going to achieve this. First of all, we had to update the association's mission, vision, and mandate. They have become perhaps a little bit disassociated with what the organization was moving towards. We need to update the association's bylaws. We need to establish committees that are aligned with our priorities. We need to develop revenue targets and strategies, hire staff, and consider different approaches to board representation. And I'll talk to each of these bullet points. First, we refined our mission. And our mission as an organization is to build the capacity of those engaged in economic development in Newfoundland and Labrador and advance the practice as a distinct and recognized profession. A couple of subtle changes there, one of which is we do recognize that there's many folks in the province working in various fields whose job title isn't necessarily economic developer or economic development officer, but who are engaged in economic development as part of their work. So we want to make sure that we are providing whatever support we can to those folks who are key cogs in the province's pursuit of economic development. And our vision is a robust community of professional development practitioners contributing to the economic well-being of Newfoundland and Labrador. So the actions that we state throughout the rest of the strategic plan here are all going towards that vision. I've got a little cheesy star here on activities where we've achieved active progress. So we have adopted this mission, we've adopted this vision, but it will have to be reflected in changed bylaws. Our mandate now has become, we actually had no official mandate per se, but now we've put it on paper, and we've really focused in on training and professional development, fostering that community of practice, and sharing stories and successes of practitioners. So you'll see that this aligns identically with the 4 priorities that I'd mentioned at the outset of the plan. There are some changes to our bylaws that we will have to make in order to reach that vision, in order to kind of be active in our mission. We need to make some adjustments. One is recognizing that there's only so much that a volunteer board of directors can do. So we need to expand our efforts into standing committees focused on each of our top priorities. And that needs to be codified in the bylaws because it needs to be something that persists and is maintained despite any change that we have in our staff, or sorry, in our board. We need to stagger the term lengths of our directors because as it stands now, we elect 8, and then after the 2 years are up, it's conceivable that 8 could leave and eight new folks could come on. So that's not best practice when it comes to the resiliency of an organization and a board. So we're going to stagger it so that it's 4 and 4, so that in any given year, the maximum turnover you'd see is 4 folks, or half the board, which is really important. We need to increase the threshold for quorums. So I think when the bylaws were written, it was based on a much smaller membership. And I think the number 10 was the quorum for decision-making for the whole membership. And now as a group with over 130 members, 10 is a really small amount of people to make decisions on behalf of the whole membership. So there's all these sorts of little bits and bobs that need to be changed throughout the bylaws. And we're going to be bringing those forward to the membership for review and approval next week, in fact. And I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the presentation, but we're going to provide a very detailed overview of all of the changes that are going to be made to the bylaws so that folks are well informed when they cast their vote. We're going to establish committees that align with each of our 4 priorities. So we will have an operations and governance committee. We will have an activities and network committee. We'll have a training and professional development and communications and advocacy committee. And in fact, these committees have been stood up. They are active now. And then as we move to the next AGM where we have elections and a new board, we anticipate and hope that those committees are going to grow and involve participation from many of our members throughout the province so that everyone has a chance, if they wish, to contribute to the success of the organization in these areas. And I should probably switch the order of these slides. We have reached the limit in terms of what a volunteer board of directors can do as an organization. Over the course of a decade or so, there's been incremental improvements and there's been step change improvements. But I think as a group, we recognize that it's quite clear now that if we are to achieve that next layer of professionalism as an organization, that next layer of activity, unquestionably, we need someone who's paid to do some of this work. Because as volunteers, if an organization relies entirely on volunteers, then ultimately, if the volunteers are burnt out, if you have trouble in the changing of board members over time, then you run into serious issues which may jeopardize the entire organization. So we do need to hire staff. And in order to do that, we do need to have some revenue targets and some strategies around revenue generation in place. So we are looking to increase the number of our members. We will look at membership fees. We will look at more events and increasing our revenues from events. We'll explore different partnerships that we can have in terms of sharing of admin resources potentially. And also, we'll look to increase revenues from project-based activities. All of these things have to align with the priorities that we've set out as an organization. And we'll be very mindful of not taking on things that aren't in absolute alignment. But in order to have that staff in place, we do need to create some targets and generate some revenue. And in the longer term, we are going to look at implementing a board structure and elections processes that kind of mandate the organization to have certain representation from certain regions and or certain sectors or other kind of key considerations when it comes to ensuring that we're representing the whole of the economic development profession in Newfoundland and Labrador. Um, we thought that this would be pretty ambitious to kick off, in year one of our strategic plan, because this is still very much a working board. It's not a board that just provides guidance. All of our hands are quite dirty in every aspect of this organization. So until we can get past that point, we don't want to fiddle around with the structure of the board too much, but it is definitely an objective for the organization. So activities and network. Here's another Jeremy Schwartz photo for you. This is really going to be a big focus for us, developing and sustaining an enhanced program of activities to strengthen the network. In all of the strategic planning, interviews, and engagement that we did, the number one thing people wanted was just venues and theaters to engage and communicate, connect, meet new people, connect with old friends, share stories, share successes, share failures, kind of tighten the bind of the network. So there will be a big focus on making sure that we're doing more of these things and providing more opportunities for people to connect. And how are we going to do that? Well, number one, we're going to put a committee in place to lead this activity, which I already spoke to. We're going to have a fixed program of seasonal events with kind of longer lead times in terms of when you can expect they're going to happen, so that they're in your calendars and you don't have to panic to try and attend something. We're going to continue our hosting of conferences in different locations. We're going to develop a webinar series on key themes. We're going to enhance the benefits of membership, and we're going to establish regional practitioner networks. And just some notes on each of these items. This schedule will come as kind of no surprise for those who've been involved in the organization for a little while, but we're putting in place a structured series of events. We'll have our conference in the early fall of each year. That has bounced around a little bit in the past, but we're looking at, late September is what we can all count on as being the time of our conference. It's gone very well the past few years. Later in the fall, a networking event or networking events, our awards night and programming in the spring. And then in the early summer, an AGM, which also serves as an event, as opposed to just a webinar, which is what we've done in the past couple of years. One of the areas of great success, I think, for this particular, over the past few years has been where we've been doing our annual conferences. Coming out of COVID, we knew we wanted to do some different things, and we started with our conference in Bonavista, moved it to Twillingate in 2024, St. Anthony last year, and breaking news in September, we're going to be on the Burin Peninsula, so everyone can plan to be on the boot this coming fall. This has been probably one of the best successes for us, to be honest. The feedback we've received from these conferences have been really exceptional. The economic impact for the communities isn't insignificant when you're bringing 60 to 75 people into some of these places. But also it gives us all a chance to learn about places that we haven't necessarily been to. So it's an exciting thing that we've done, and we're committing to continuing with that. Webinars are kind of easy, quick wins, and a commitment to doing these on a very regular basis. We kicked that off last month with the Shorefast Institute for Placemaking Economic Development, which is a really great webinar. It was a snowy day on the East Coast, but we still had great attendance. So thanks to all of those who joined in. It was a great webinar. This month, unfortunately, you're stuck with me for this month's webinar. But we do have plans for April and May, which we'll release in the near future, which we think will excite you. And we should mention, we're open to all and any ideas and thoughts on what we could do with the webinar. Could it be on a type of economic development? Could it highlight an area, like a geography, that perhaps could use some attention? Could it be a new funding mechanism that is available? et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Point being, we're really interested to work with anyone who wants to put forward an idea for a webinar. And no fancy sticker on this one here, but we will look to enhance our membership benefits. Part and parcel with reviewing the fee is going to be making sure that there's a lot of value for that fee. We haven't done anything in this space yet, but we do anticipate that this year we'll certainly be doing some work to look at what comes with your membership, aside from being part of the network and feeling good about it. What are the tangible benefits? And then we will be moving towards what we're calling regional practitioner networks. And this is an idea that we've stolen from Australia. And Simon, who was willing to share some of the successes that they've seen in economic development in Australia. Knowing that, of course, there's different pockets of activity and memberships throughout the province. Like if you look at where our members are on a map, it's pretty staggering. We are everywhere in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's really cool. However, it is difficult for those that aren't necessarily in the centers to engage in networking activities, especially if they're not really tied to a conference or an event. We do want to make sure that these things are there's opportunities for casual interaction, which is usually where some of the best networking occurs. But how do we achieve that? We can't all do it from the metro area. That's not feasible. So we're looking to establish regional practitioner networks where there will be groups of folks in certain areas who are committed to working together to generating events and networking activities. And they'll be provided budgets to do so, so that they can make the most of it. So that's kind of, I won't say we're going to start this tomorrow, but I'm not going to say this is in 2030 either. This is definitely something that we want to knock off in the near to medium term. Here's an area which is vital, training and professional development. We've had some recent successes in the development of training, as I referenced earlier, with the 2 courses that we offer, but we know that we need to do more. And here's how we're going to do more. Hey, we're going to start that committee that I already mentioned about 10 times. We're going to formalize partnerships with key stakeholders, knowing that there's other organizations out there who want to provide or share training and professional development opportunities with their memberships. So the stronger we can connect with those folks, the better off all of us are. We're going to develop more training. We're going to develop a full program. We're going to have an online resource for members to access on our website, as well as a peer mentorship program. So when it comes to formalizing some partnerships, what we mean by that, having regular scheduled interactions with municipalities and staff who work with municipalities, so kind of the political end and also the bureaucratic end, business and sector groups, special interest organizations, governments, post-secondary institutions, and more. And little star of active progress here because we've started this. We're lucky to have a good relationship with some organizations who are going to allow us to participate in their conferences in the next couple of months. We're going to be presenting at the MNL Symposium. We're going to be presenting at the PMA annual conference, and we'll have some sort of a presence at the MNL UMC as well. And looking to partner with other organizations as well to get on the agenda and make the most of how we can contribute to their events and bring that kind of economic development lens with us. Perhaps a more effective approach than trying to do everything ourselves and draw interest from the outside. Why not partner and interact and make the most of what's already occurring. Here's what I'm personally really excited about. We are actually in the midst of developing or starting the development of Newfoundland and Labrador focused economic development training. We, through a partnership with MNL, the Community Sector Council, and the Newfoundland and Labrador Association of CBDCs, and a regional economic development initiative, there was some resources there to develop programming around professional development and training in economic development. So we have started the process. Some of you may have seen surveys floating around, depending on if you're associated with one of those organizations, or we've launched our own survey as well within the EDANL membership. And we'll kind of keep plugging away at that over the course of the next little while. As we are presenting at these conferences over the next couple of months, we're going to be talking to folks at those events to understand what it is that they would like in terms of training and professional development, and how they would like it to be delivered, and in what format. So really wanting to make sure that we deliver in a way that people want and need, and that's practical. Meanwhile, we're doing some jurisdictional scanning to see what the latest and greatest is in economic development training around the world. And all of that's going to culminate later this, I guess, in the spring, with a presentation of what it is we're going to develop as a program. And then with the green light from some key stakeholders, then we'll go ahead and start developing with the intent to deliver in the fall. So all of this will be key, of course, for the organization for the long term, and it's great that we have some resources to get started now. And an exciting announcement in April with the release, I guess, of a brand new course. So lots on the horizon here. We will have an online resource for members. We haven't walked through exactly what's going to be here, but we're going to make sure it's something that's not static. It's going to be dynamic, and it's going to be useful. And we haven't devised what a peer mentoring program will look like yet, but that is one of the objectives as well. And lastly, the last pillar of activity is around communications and advocacy. Another area which kind of surprised me, to be honest, when we engaged with folks, was they really wanted us the association, to advocate on behalf of the membership. So we've taken that to heart, and advocacy can mean many different things. And we haven't figured out yet what it is you have meant by saying you want us to advocate for you. So we are going to go back to you in the near future to ask what it is that you mean, because as an economic development, I guess we represent economic developers and the profession of economic development, but we wouldn't necessarily be advocating for specific economic development or strategies in certain areas or geographies or whatever. So our advocacy would be kind of focused on the profession. But what that means to you, we have some work to do. But part of it invariably will be sharing stories of the successes. So creating more awareness of what economic development actually is, and what the impacts are, and what the benefits of it are. And really patting ourselves on the back where we've done a good job. And by we, I mean the royal we, all of us as economic developers, and not the association, but like we do with our awards, celebrating specific people, specific projects, specific achievements. And the other piece, which has probably become obvious to you for longstanding members, we felt that in order to be more aggressive in these areas, we needed to have a bit of a brand refresh, and to develop a new marketing plan. So I'd like to give thanks to Roxanne Morrissey and her team at Waterworks, who helped us develop a new brand. And apologies to Steve Butler, who created our old logo maybe about 12 years ago. It did the job, buddy, but we've switched now to something a little bit more modern, and you're going to see this be rolled out on our website and in all of our communications in the very near future. We're really happy with the results, and I think it speaks to the direction we feel the organization needs to go, which is A, professional, but B, we all need to have a bit of fun with this too. Economic developers take their jobs very seriously. So let's take the network in stride and have fun with the organization that ties us all together. Our awards of excellence have been a great success. We will continue with this. I will say that nominations for this year's Economic Development Awards of Excellence are due tomorrow. So if you would like to nominate a person or a project in terms of best community project, best marketing project, best sector project, best regional project, or economic developer of the year, you've got one more day. And the link, we'll send a reminder tomorrow morning out via MailChimp. But get your nominations in. So that's the presentation of the strategic plan. It's got a real focus on governance and operations, our activities and the network, training and professional development, and communications and advocacy. And we feel with targeted priorities and a refined mission mandate and vision, we think that we're on the path to success. We're a little bit more organized. We're a lot more aligned in terms of where we want to go. And just a big thank you to Pat Curran, who walked us through this entire process. It was at times a little bit overwhelming when you're doing these things from the side of your desk and you want to do a good job of it. But he took us through. He did an excellent job of engaging the key partners and distilling that feedback in ways that allowed us to develop some priorities. So thanks to Pat. Thanks to the provincial government and the Department of Jobs, Growth and Rural Development, and ACOA, who were supportive of this endeavor. And a real special thank you to any of you out there who participated and contributed to the process. We know it takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. So we're very appreciative of that and hopeful that what we've come up with is reflective in some way of what you thought we should prioritize. Just over about 10 years ago, I was lucky to have an employer who really kind of nudged me into the world of economic development, and they encouraged me to get engaged with the network. And when I did engage with that network, it was a group of folks who were trying to get this organization back on its feet. There was a couple of $100 in the bank, and through their work of that group, Jennifer Penny, Steve Butler, Jeff Lawler, Ross Houlihan, Chris Tapiri, and others that contributed in the intermediate years, Christy Shepard, Roseanne Leonard, Betsy Saunders, Rhonda Tolk-Lane as board members. And onto this group, who really put in an enormous amount of time and effort over the past year. Jeremy, Margot, Jennifer, Regis, Lindsay, Cindy, and Mark. Thank you so much from me and on behalf of the membership for all the time and effort that you put into this. I know it was a lot, but I think we've arrived at a good end result.